What is antisocial personality disorder and how does it relate to narcissistic personality disorder? That's what we're talking about today at queenbeing.com. Let's get started. My name is Angie Atkinson, and on this channel I offer free daily video coaching to help you discover, understand, and overcome narcissistic abuse in toxic relationships. I like to call it toxic relationship rehab. Does that sound good to you? If so, hit the subscribe button and let's get going. We already know what narcissistic personality disorder is, right? NPD. But just in case you're new here, I'm just going to quickly review for you the clinical definition. So NPD is a personality disorder that causes the affected person to have a pretty distorted self-image, unpredictable and intense emotional issues, and most notably, a serious lack of empathy for the people around them. Of course, the lack of empathy leads them to not be able to feel or understand feelings that aren't their own, and clearly this causes some pretty serious issues in relationships. Would you agree? Someone with NPD may also have a sense of superiority and a grandiose fantasies of power or importance, not to mention a huge sense of often unearned entitlement, and they may consider themselves and their ideas more important or more correct than anyone else's. Now we're going to quickly cover the diagnostic criteria for APD or antisocial personality disorder. Here we see similar traits, including a propensity for egocentrism and self-directed goal setting without regard for societal norms or rules. Personality traits also include a propensity for manipulating and deceiving other people in their lives, hostility, and a sense of callousness. Also present are irresponsible and impulsive behaviors, excessive risk-taking, and other behaviors that are considered outside of societal norms. It's a little confusing, isn't it? Maybe because there are so many different similarities there. For example, a narcissist will be uncomfortable in situations where they are not the center of attention, and so will the antisocial person. Both narcissists and people with APD can be very dramatic, and each of them likes to really feel like they're the center of the world. Both the narcissist and the person with APD will typically victimize other people, and while the narcissist does seem to lack empathy, the antisocial person has a reckless disregard for the safety of other people. Slightly different, but pretty similar, right? Of course, there are also some very marked differences between the two, and that's what we're going to cover next. So first up, let's talk about NPD versus APD on attention from other people. Probably the most notable difference is that in most cases, even if the narcissist breaks the law, they're usually not caught. They're pretty slick about it. For the antisocial person, though, being arrested at some point in their lives, pretty common. Narcissists also really need their sources of supply in order to self-validate, their sources of narcissistic supply. When it comes to their personal identities, the narcissist tends to base their self-esteem on how other people react to them and treat them. So they tend to have an exaggerated sense of self that fluctuates to desperate self-doubt, which is usually not verbalized by the narcissist openly. Narcissists are also known for their emotional extremes and their mood swings. Now, some narcissists do verbalize it, like those who are of the vulnerable type, the covert type. Sometimes they seem to feel like complaining about how bad their life sucks helps, but most narcissists won't do it. Narcissists are also known for their extreme mood swings. Now let's talk about NPD versus APD on self-esteem and personal goals. So the antisocial personality derives self-esteem from their own personal gain, power, pleasure, not so much through the approval of other people, unlike the narcissist. They will aggressively and openly go after whatever they want without regard for the concerns or feelings of other people involved. They want power, they want control, they want material gain, they want stuff. The APD person is going to focus mostly on functional benefits, as opposed to the narcissist, who focuses on getting their supply needs met. The ego is more important to the narcissist than it is to the APD person. It makes sense then that the narcissist's goals are generally based on getting approval from other people and the need to see him or herself as special or different. The narcissist doesn't really know why they do what they do in most cases. And like I mentioned, they have kind of a big sense of entitlement. The antisocial personality has goals that are more based on personal gratification, and that seems confusing, right? But this type of person lacks concern for societal standards, doesn't give a shit what anybody thinks about them when going after what they want. NPD versus APD on relationships. Let's go there, shall we? Here's an interesting note on empathy for both personality disorders. This one is I find this fascinating. While we know that both NPD and APD affected people lack empathy for others, the APD person also lacks remorse when hurting or mistreating another person. Well, it would seem like so does the NPD person, right? While the same appears to be true for the narcissist, here is this interesting twist. The narcissist tends to be hypersensitive toward the reactions of other people, at least as long as they relate to the narcissist directly. The narcissist also seriously underestimates the effect of his or her behavior on other people. Seriously underestimates the effect of his or her behavior on other people. Narcissists need relationships because they help to provide the narcissist with validation and recognition, while antisocial people will build and discard relationships simply for their own financial or social gain. When the relationships end, narcissists, as we all know, are known to hoover or try to suck their exes back in, while the ASP will walk away, the antisocial person will walk away without a second thought, like as though that person never affected them at all. Because in some ways, they didn't. When it comes to sex and intimacy, the antisocial personality disordered person is not capable of having a mutually intimate relationship with someone. They are all about exploiting other people to get what they want, and sex and intimacy, unfortunately, are no exception. It's the only way they know to relate to people. The APD will use bullying and intimidation to control the people around them. Well, for narcissists, relationships are all about getting supply, getting their needs met. The narcissist enters relationships to serve him or herself only, to boost self-esteem and fulfill the needs of the narcissist. Here is where other people are damaged the most by the narcissist, in intimate relationships. Not always, but in close, connected relationships. Sexual relationships, parent-child relationships, even in some cases work relationships or friendships. See, because narcissists are most often abusive to those people who are closest to them, and they tend to have very little interest in the experiences of other people, which leads to their relationship partners feeling unheard and unimportant in most cases. The antisocial personality also includes manipulative behavior through seduction and charm, like the narcissist does sometimes, but for different reasons. The narcissist does it for supply and attention, while the ASP person does it just to meet his or her personal goals, or generally just for personal gain. The ASP is more likely to be blatantly callous and sadistic, deceitful, and to commit fraud. They are more openly hostile and mean to other people than narcissists, believe it or not. Narcissists are more likely to reserve the worst of their behaviors for those who already have become established sources of narcissistic supply, again because the narcissist cares what strangers think about them, or what people they consider better than them or as good as them think about them. Narcissists are less likely to take big risks when it comes to endangering their lives or their financial well-being, things like that. They're not entirely unlikely, but they're less likely. And they're less likely to engage in very dangerous behaviors, while the ASP is all about both of those things. In fact, ASPs are known to be incredibly impulsive and irresponsible. Many narcissists are financially and socially responsible, as far as anyone can tell anyway, but that's because they're also very concerned with their personal image and what other people think about them. The ASP tends to lack the ability to be financially and socially responsible at all, and really struggles to follow through on things that they promise they'll do and on agreements, legal or otherwise. Let's talk about the NPD versus APD on emotions. Narcissists have emotions, and they let everybody know it. But the antisocial personality person's brain is wired differently. Neuroscientists have said that the prefrontal cortex of the brain has structural and functional issues that cause the person with antisocial personality disorder to have an inability to have remorse and genuine emotion. While narcissists struggle to display remorse and genuine emotion in a normal, healthy way, it's because they are too self-centered sometimes to pay attention to or to respect the feelings of other people. Not because they can't feel anything, just because they're so self-focused. While the person with antisocial personality disorder genuinely cannot experience normal human feelings at all. They genuinely cannot experience normal human emotion. It's kind of sad. People with narcissistic personality disorder can be affected by depression, anxiety, but people who have antisocial personality disorder cannot. There's another difference. Both NPD and APD people can experience drug and alcohol addiction, as you may or may not be aware, but again, for different reasons. The APD person does it to indulge in risk-taking and impulsive behavior, as is part of his or her nature, while the NPD person does it to self-medicate in some cases, or even to impress other people in some cases. Let's talk about NPD versus APD on revenge. The narcissist will feel wounded when his or her pride kind of feels attacked, or when someone doesn't agree with him or her. And the narcissist may seek revenge for the narcissistic injury they get out of that deal, while the APD person doesn't give one single shit as to what anyone else thinks about them. They don't care. That's not their problem. That's your problem. But they will react with anger or aggression if their personal goals for material or personal gain are affected. See the difference there? Here's another question. Can someone be both narcissistic and have antisocial personality disorder? Can they have both NPD and APD together? Unfortunately, yes, the two conditions can be comorbid, but not very often. According to my research, the symptoms, while obviously they do have a little overlap, the specific diagnostic criteria are so specific in the motivations involved that it's very rare that you will actually see someone with both NPD and APD in an individual person. So what do you think about that? This brings me to the question of the day. And the question of the day is, do you know someone who is APD or NPD? What have your experiences been with these people? And do you have other questions you'd like me to answer regarding these two conditions and how they relate to each other, or anything at all? Leave your thoughts and experiences in the comments below and let's discuss it. All right? That's all I've got for you today. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for being a part of my day and a part of my life. And hey, thanks for letting me be a part of yours. It really does mean a lot to me. I'll see you soon. It's my mission to teach others what I know to be true. You really can create the life you want. Take care of your body. Take care of your soul. Nurture the real you and introduce him or her to the world. Be comfortable in your own skin and in your place in this world. Take your spot. Take it now. And the universe will take its cue from you. You feel me? If so, subscribe to my channel. Let's get it done together.